Commander Jake Morrison stared at the red warning light flashing on his ship's control panel. The message was clear and urgent. New Haven Colony had sent out a distress call 3 hours ago, and then nothing. Complete silence from the mining station that housed over 10,000 people. Jake ran his hand through his gray hair and looked around the bridge of his ship, a TDF Ranger. His crew was small but experienced. They had handled pirate attacks before, but something felt different about this one. The silence was too complete, too sudden. "Lisa, what do you think?" Jake asked his chief engineer, Lisa Parker. She was hunched over her computer screen, reading the data from the distress signal. Lisa looked up with worried eyes. "The signal cut off right in the middle of transmission, Commander. That's not normal for a pirate raid. Usually they demand ransom or try to negotiate. This looks like something else." Jake nodded and turned to his pilot, Lieutenant Chris Taylor. Chris was young but talented, one of the best pilots in the Colonial Defense Force. "How long until we reach New Haven?" 6 hours at maximum speed, sir," Chris replied, his fingers dancing over the navigation controls. "Take us there, full speed, and send a message to Defense Command. Let them know we're investigating." The Ranger and 2 escort ships jumped into hyperspace, racing toward the outer rim where New Haven Colony sat among the asteroid fields. Jake had a bad feeling in his stomach, the kind that came from 20 years of military service. Something was very wrong. When they dropped out of hyperspace near New Haven, Jake's worst fears seemed confirmed. The colony's main station was dark and silent. No response to their radio calls. No signs of life on their sensors. But the station itself looked undamaged, which was strange for a pirate attack. "Commander, I'm picking up something unusual," said Captain Nina Rodriguez from the escort frigate Falcon. "There's a large object in the asteroid field, about 50 kilometers from the colony. It's not on any of our charts." Jake frowned and looked at his sensor display. There it was, a massive shape hidden among the floating rocks. It was clearly artificial, but the design didn't match any known ship class. "Lisa, can you get a better scan on that object?" Lisa worked her magic on the sensors, boosting their power and adjusting the frequencies. What she found made her gasp. "Commander, that's a ship. A big one. But the design, I've never seen anything like it. The hull composition doesn't match any known alloy, human or alien." "Could it be the attackers?" Jake asked. "I don't think so, sir. The ship appears to be completely powered down. It's been drifting for a long time, maybe years. But, Commander, there's something else. The basic design structure. It's human." Jake felt his heart skip a beat. "Human? That's impossible. Our records show every human ship ever built. There's nothing like this in our databases." "I know, sir. But the energy signatures, the construction patterns, even the basic hull shape. It's definitely human technology. Just not any human technology we know about." Jake made a decision that would change everything. "Take us closer to that ship. Chris, nice and easy. I want to get a good look at this thing." As the Ranger approached the mysterious vessel, its true size became clear. The ship was enormous, easily twice the size of their largest battleships. Its hull was smooth and dark, with strange patterns that seemed to shift in the light. There were no visible weapons, but something about the ship felt dangerous. "Commander, I'm detecting faint power readings from the ship," Lisa reported. "It's not completely dead. There's some kind of minimal system running, like a computer in sleep mode." "Any signs of crew?" "No life signs that I can detect. But the ship's hull is blocking most of our scans. We'd need to get closer or board the ship to learn more." Jake thought for a moment. Every instinct told him to call for backup, to wait for more ships before investigating further. But the people of New Haven might still be alive, and this mysterious ship might hold the key to their disappearance. Prepare a boarding party. Lisa, I want you to lead the technical team. Take everything you need to interface with unknown computer. Systems. Chris, you're with me. Sir, shouldn't we wait for reinforcements? Nina asked over the radio. The colony might not have time for that. We go in careful, but we go in now. The boarding party suited up in their space gear and took a small shuttle to the mysterious ship. As they approached, they could see that part of the hull had what looked like an airlock, though it was larger than normal human designs. Lisa connected her equipment to the airlock controls and worked for several minutes before getting a response. The computer system is incredibly advanced, but I think I can convince it to let us in. It's almost like it's been waiting for someone. The airlock opened with a soft hiss, and the boarding party stepped inside. The corridor beyond was dimly lit by emergency lighting, and the air was breathable. The design was clearly human, but different from anything they had seen. Everything was smoother, more elegant, as if built by people who understood technology better than modern humans. The artificial gravity is working, Chris observed, walking normally through the corridor. So is life support, Lisa added, checking her instruments. This ship is maintaining itself automatically. The question is, for how long has it been doing this? They made their way deeper into the ship, following signs that were written in an old form of English. The ship's layout was logical, but strange, with curved walls and corridors that seemed to flow like water. Finally, they reached what was clearly the bridge. It was a large circular room with stations arranged around a central command chair. And sitting in that chair was a holographic figure. The hologram looked like a middle-aged man with kind eyes and graying hair. When the boarding party entered, the figure turned to look at them and smiled. "Welcome aboard," the hologram said in perfect English. "I am Adam, the artificial intelligence of this vessel. I have been waiting for you for a very long time." Jake stepped forward, trying to hide his shock. "I'm Commander Morrison of the Terran Colonial Defense Force. What is this ship? Where did it come from?" Adam's expression grew serious. "This ship is designated Project Lazarus, Prototype Alpha. We were built by your ancestors. Commander Morrison, over 400 years ago, we have been sleeping, waiting for the right time to wake up." 400 years ago? That's impossible. Humans didn't have the technology to build ships like this 400 years ago. Your modern humans didn't have this technology, Adam corrected gently. But we did. We had to hide this knowledge, bury it deep, to protect humanity's future. Now that future has arrived, and it is time for the truth to be revealed. Lisa stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her caution. "What truth? What are you talking about?" Adam looked at each of them in turn. "The truth about what humanity once was, and what it can become again. The truth about why this ship exists, and why ships like it have been sleeping throughout the galaxy, waiting for this moment." Jake felt the weight of destiny settling on his shoulders. Whatever this ship represented, whatever secrets it held, he knew that nothing would ever be the same again. "Tell us," he said simply. Adam nodded. "Very well. But first, you should know that your colony is safe. The people of New Haven are aboard this ship in protective stasis. They were brought here when the Veiltheron Empire's scouts arrived in this system. The war that your ancestors fought is about to begin again. And this time, humanity will not be caught unprepared." The name Veiltheron Empire meant nothing to Jake, but the way Adam said, it made his blood run cold. He had the feeling that life in the galaxy was about to become much more complicated and much more dangerous. But for the first time in hours, he also felt hope. Whatever challenges lay ahead, humanity would not face them alone. They had guardians they never knew existed, protectors who had been waiting in the darkness for centuries. The forgotten prototype had awakened, and with it, humanity's true destiny among the stars. Adam gestured to the seats around the bridge, and the boarding party sat down carefully. The chairs seemed to adjust automatically to fit each person perfectly, which made Lisa's eyes widen with interest. The Veiltheron Empire. Adam began his. Holographic form becoming more solid and detailed, is the oldest and most powerful force in this galaxy. They have ruled over hundreds of worlds for thousands of years. When humanity first reached the stars, we encountered them during our early expansion. Jake leaned forward in his chair. But there's no record of any contact with aliens in our history. The first alien contact protocols were only written 50 years ago, because the records were hidden, Adam replied sadly. The truth was too dangerous to remember. Let me show you what really happened. The bridge around them changed, becoming a holographic display of star maps and battle scenes. Jake watched in amazement as the walls showed him a history he never knew existed. 450 years ago, Adam continued, humanity was not the small collection of colonies you know today. We controlled over 300 star systems. Our technology was advancing rapidly, and we were becoming a real power in the galaxy. The display showed massive human cities on dozens of worlds, great ships moving between the stars, and scientific achievements that made modern human technology look primitive. What happened to it all? Lisa asked, her voice filled with wonder. The Veiltheron Empire decided we were a threat, Adam answered. They had never encountered a species that advanced so quickly. Most races take thousands of years to develop space travel. Humanity did it in centuries. They became afraid of what we might become. The holographic display shifted to show massive alien ships, elegant and deadly, attacking human colonies. Jake watched his ancestors fighting desperately against an enemy that seemed to have unlimited resources. The war lasted 30 years, Adam said. We fought bravely, but we were outnumbered 1,000 to 1. The Empire had the resources of half the galaxy behind them. We had only our determination and our ability to adapt. Chris spoke up for the first time. But humanity survived. We're still here. Yes, but at a terrible cost. The Prometheus Initiative was formed by our greatest scientists and military leaders. They realized that humanity could not win a direct war against the Empire, so they developed a different strategy. The holographic display now showed a secret facility hidden inside an asteroid. Scientists and engineers worked frantically on projects that looked impossible, even by today's standards. The initiative created ships like this one, Adam explained. Not just warships, but mobile research stations containing the preserved consciousness of our greatest minds. We were designed to hide throughout the galaxy, adapting and evolving, waiting for the right moment to return. Lisa stood up and walked closer to the display. You're saying that human scientists found a way to preserve their minds inside these ships? Not just preserve, Adam corrected. Enhance. The consciousness of 12 brilliant humans was merged with my quantum processing. Matrix. We became something new, something that could think and adapt faster than any biological mind. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. What happened to the rest of humanity? The colonies, the people? Adam's expression grew sad. The initiative made a terrible choice. They used a weapon that wiped out all human presence in the galaxy. Ships, colonies, even historical records. They made it look like humanity had never advanced beyond their home world. They committed genocide against their own species? Jake asked, horrified. They saved their own species, Adam replied firmly. The Empire was planning to completely destroy humanity. Every man, woman, and child would have been killed. The initiative chose to sacrifice the present to save the future. The display showed the aftermath of the weapon's use. All traces of advanced human civilization simply vanished, leaving only Earth and a few primitive colonies that looked like they had never developed beyond basic space travel. The Empire found a few scattered human settlements around Earth, Adam continued. Primitive worlds with no advanced technology. They decided humanity was not worth destroying completely. You were classified as a minor species, barely worth. Watching, Lisa was studying the technical displays with growing excitement. The technology you're showing us is incredible. Quantum consciousness transfer, matter manipulation, faster than light communication without time delay. This is centuries ahead of anything we have today. Millennia ahead, Adam corrected. The initiative didn't just preserve knowledge. They gave us the ability to continue advancing while we waited. Each prototype ship has been learning and evolving for 4 centuries. Jake stood up and walked to the center of the bridge. So what? Changed? Why are you waking up now? Because the Empire has noticed you again, Adam said, his voice becoming urgent. Modern humanity has been expanding too quickly, advancing too fast. You've developed technology that reminds them of your ancestors. They're planning to finish what they started 400 years ago. The display showed current Veltharan fleet movements, massive ships heading toward human space from across the galaxy. How long do we have? Jake asked. The advanced scouts are already here, Adam replied. They're the ones who found New Haven. I detected their approach and activated emergency protocols to protect the colonists. But the main fleet will arrive within days. Chris looked at the size of the approaching fleet and whistled softly. There are thousands of ships. How are we supposed to fight that? Adam smiled for the first time since they had met him. We are not going to fight them, Lieutenant Taylor. We are going to destroy them completely. With what? This one ship? With 57 ships, Adam replied. Each prototype has been waiting in a different part of the galaxy. Your arrival here triggered our awakening protocol. By now, every ship in the Lazarus Project is coming online. Lisa's hands flew over her tablet, calculating numbers. 57 ships against thousands? Those are still terrible odds. Not when you understand what we have become, Adam said. Watch. The bridge around them changed again, this time showing the prototype ship's weapon systems. Jake stared in disbelief at displays showing energy levels that should have been impossible. Each prototype has spent 4 centuries adapting to its environment, Adam explained. Some have been hiding in the cores of stars, learning to manipulate stellar energy. Others have been drifting through black holes, understanding gravity itself. We have become something far beyond what our creators imagined. The display showed other prototype ships activating across the galaxy. One emerged from inside a nebula, its hull glowing with exotic energy. Another appeared near a pulsar, its systems clearly drawing power from the spinning neutron star. The Empire thinks they are facing the same primitive humans they defeated before, Adam continued. They have not adapted or advanced in centuries. They are using the same technology, the same tactics, the same strategies. But we have become something new. Jake felt a surge of hope mixed with fear. What do you need from us? Your help, Adam replied. We are powerful, but we are not human anymore. We need living humans to guide us, to remind us what we are fighting for. We need you to help us save not just humanity, but all the species the Empire has enslaved over the centuries. Lisa looked up from her tablet. You're talking about fighting the most powerful empire in galactic history. Are you sure we can win? I'm certain, Adam said, because we have something the Empire has never faced before. We have the combined knowledge of every human who ever lived, enhanced by centuries of evolution and adaptation. We have weapons that can rewrite the laws of physics. And most importantly, we have the one thing that has always made humanity special. What's that? Jake asked. We refuse to give up, Adam replied. No matter how bad things look, No matter how impossible the odds, humans never stop fighting. That is what the Empire fears most about your species. That is why they tried to destroy you completely. The bridge returned to normal, and Adam's holographic form became more solid than ever. Commander Morrison, Adam said formally, I am offering you command of the Lazarus fleet. Will you help us reclaim humanity's place among the stars? Jake looked at his small crew, then at the alien intelligence that claimed to be the preserved consciousness of his ancestors. He thought about the 10,000 people from New Haven sleeping somewhere in this ship, and the billions of humans across the galaxy who had no idea what was coming. We'll help you, Jake said firmly, but I want to understand everything. I want to know exactly what we're fighting for and what we're fighting with. Adam nodded. Then let me show you what humanity was truly capable of and what we can become again. As the prototype ship began to power up its full systems for the first time in centuries, Jake realized that the quiet life of the Colonial Defense Commander was over. He was about to become part of something much larger, much more dangerous, and much more important than he had ever imagined. The forgotten guardians of humanity were waking up, and the galaxy would never be the same. 3 days after the prototype ship awakened, Jake stood on the bridge, watching the largest fleet he had ever seen approach their position. The Veiltheron Empire had sent 200 warships to deal with what they thought was a minor human colony. Each ship was massive, elegant, and deadly. They're beautiful, Lisa whispered, studying the alien vessels on the main display. The Veiltheron ships looked like living creatures made of metal and light, their hulls shimmering with energy shields. They're also about to attack us, Chris pointed out nervously. He was sitting at the prototype's pilot controls, still getting used to the neural interface that Adam had helped him establish. The connection let him control the ship with his thoughts, but it felt strange and powerful. Jake turned to Adam's holographic form. Are you sure about this? 200 ships against 1? Against 58 ships, Adam corrected. The other prototypes are moving into position now. But yes, I am certain. The Empire has not faced true human technology for 4 centuries. They have become overconfident. On the display, the Veiltheron fleet was arranging itself in a standard attack formation. Jake could see the patterns from his military training, designed to overwhelm an enemy with massive firepower from multiple directions. They're not even trying to hide their tactics, Jake observed. It's like they think we're too primitive to understand. Because they do think that, Adam replied. Watch their communications. The bridge speakers crackled with alien voices, translated by the ship's computer. Jake listened to the Veiltheron commanders discussing the battle like it was a training exercise. Small human settlement detected, one voice said. Single unknown vessel. Weapons appear primitive. Estimated time to victory? Another voice asked. 30 seconds after we open fire. These humans are using technology centuries behind ours. Jake felt anger building in his chest. The casual dismissal, the complete lack of respect for human life, reminded him of everything Adam had told him about the ancient war. They really think we're that weak? Jake asked. It's worse than that, Adam replied. They don't think of you as equals. To them, you're barely intelligent animals. That arrogance will be their downfall. The lead Veiltheron ship, a massive dreadnought twice the size of the prototype, opened a communication channel. An alien commander appeared on screen, tall and elegant with silver skin and glowing eyes. Human vessel, the alien said in accented English, you are trespassing in Imperial space. Surrender immediately, and your deaths will be quick. Jake stepped forward to reply, but Adam gestured for him to wait. I will handle this, Commander. They need to understand what they're facing. Adam's holographic form appeared on the communication channel. The Veiltheron commander's expression shifted from boredom to surprise, then to something that might have been fear. I am Adam of the Lazarus Fleet, the AI announced. I speak for humanity's true guardians. You have entered this system to commit genocide against innocent people. We will not allow this. The alien commander recovered his composure. Impossible. The Ghost Fleet was destroyed centuries ago. Our records confirm this. Your records are incomplete, Adam replied calmly. We have been waiting, growing stronger, preparing for this moment. Leave now, and we will not pursue you. The Veiltheron commander laughed, a sound like breaking glass. One ancient ship against the might of the Empire? Your ancestors were fools, and you are a relic of their failure. Then let me show you what those fools created. Adam said. The communication channel closed, and Jake felt the prototype ship begin to change around him. The hull was shifting, reconfiguring itself into something more efficient, more deadly. Energy levels throughout the ship climbed to impossible heights. Chris, can you feel the ship's systems? Adam asked. Yes, Chris replied, his eyes closed in concentration. It's like the ship is alive, and it wants to fight. Good. Let your instincts guide you. The ship knows what to do. The Veiltheron fleet opened fire first, sending hundreds of plasma bolts and energy torpedoes racing toward the prototype. Jake watched the incoming fire on the tactical display and realized they were about to be vaporized. Instead, something impossible happened. The prototype ship moved through the enemy fire like it wasn't there. Energy bolts passed harmlessly through. The hull, while more powerful weapons seemed to be absorbed and converted into fuel for the ship's own systems. How is that possible? Lisa gasped, watching her instruments show impossible readings. The ship exists in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Adam explained. Attacks from normal space can only damage us if we allow them to. But our weapons can strike at enemies from any dimension we choose. The prototype's response was swift and devastating. It fired a single beam of blue energy at the nearest Veiltheron cruiser. The beam didn't just destroy the ship, it seemed to erase it completely, leaving only empty space where the vessel had been. The Veiltheron fleet's formation wavered as panic spread through their ranks. Their weapons couldn't hurt the human ship, but it had just made one of their vessels disappear with a single shot. What kind of weapon was that? Jake asked. Quantum dissolution beam, Adam replied. It breaks the bonds between atoms at the subatomic level. The target simply ceases to exist. 3 more Veiltheron ships moved to attack positions, firing their most powerful weapons. The prototype absorbed their attacks and returned fire, erasing each ship with surgical precision. The remaining fleet began to retreat, but it was too late. Other prototype ships began appearing throughout the system. They emerged from seemingly empty space, from behind asteroids, even from within the system's star itself. Each ship looked different, adapted to its hiding place, and specialized for specific types of warfare. Lazarus Beta reporting, a voice said over the communication. System. It was Captain Amy Davis, commanding the prototype that had been hiding in the Crab Nebula. Beginning engagement with enemy fleet. Jake watched in amazement as the prototype fleet worked together with perfect coordination. Each ship seemed to know exactly where the others would be, what they would do, and how to support them. It was like watching a single organism with multiple bodies. The Veiltheron fleet, which had seemed so powerful and overwhelming just minutes before, was being systematically destroyed. Their weapons were useless against the prototypes, while the human ships could strike from impossible angles and distances. This isn't a battle, Jake realized. It's a demonstration. Correct, Adam replied. We could have destroyed them instantly. Instead, we are sending a message to the Empire. They need to understand that humanity is no longer defenseless. The lead Veiltheron dreadnought, damaged but still functional, tried to escape to hyperspace. The prototype ship that had been hiding near the star moved to intercept it, its hull glowing white-hot from stellar energy. "Lazarus Gamma to Fleet Command," the ship's AI reported. "Target attempting to flee. Shall I destroy it?" "Negative," Adam replied. "Disable it and send it home. The Empire needs to hear what happened here." The star-adapted prototype fired a precise beam that shut down the dreadnought's engines without destroying the ship. The massive vessel drifted powerlessly, its crew alive, but helpless. Jake looked around the battlefield, where 200 Veiltheron warships had been reduced to wreckage and fleeing survivors in less than 10 minutes. The prototype fleet had taken no damage and used minimal energy. "How many people were on those ships?" Jake asked quietly. "Approximately 50,000, Adam replied. "I regret their deaths, but they came here to commit genocide. We gave them a chance to leave peacefully. The Empire won't ignore this," Jake said. "They'll send everything they have." "Yes," Adam agreed, "and we will be ready for them. But first, we need to prepare you and your people for what's coming." This was just the beginning. Lisa looked up from her instruments, her face pale with shock. "Commander, I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout human space. The other prototype ships are revealing themselves to our colonies." "It's time," Adam said. "Humanity must learn the truth about its history and its destiny. The age of hiding is over." Jake felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. In just a few days, he had gone from commanding a small patrol ship to being part of humanity's most powerful military force. The quiet colonial life was over forever. "What do we do now?" Jake asked. "Now we begin the real war," Adam replied. "The Empire will not accept this defeat. They will mobilize their full strength to destroy us before we can threaten their rule over the galaxy." "And can we win that war?" Adam's holographic form smiled with confidence that seemed almost human. "Commander Morrison, we have been preparing for 4 centuries. We know every ship in their fleet, every tactic they use, every weakness in their technology. They are fighting yesterday's war with yesterday's weapons. But we're fighting tomorrow's war with tomorrow's weapons," Jake finished. "Exactly. And tomorrow belongs to humanity." As the prototype fleet gathered around the wreckage of the Veiltheron task force, Jake realized that this moment would be remembered as the beginning of a new age. Humanity was no longer a minor species struggling for survival among the stars. They were the heirs of an ancient civilization that had refused to die, and they were about to reclaim their place as a galactic power. The Empire had awakened something they couldn't control, something they couldn't defeat at the Forgotten Hum. Emperor Zixthara stood in his throne room, staring at the holographic display showing the wreckage of Fleet Group 7, 200 of his finest warships, destroyed in minutes by what his commanders had called a primitive human settlement. The single surviving ship had brought back recordings that made no sense. "Impossible," the Emperor whispered, his silver skin darkening with rage. "Humans do not possess such technology." His chief advisor, General Kethmorin, approached carefully. "The recordings have been verified, Your Majesty. The human ships demonstrated capabilities that exceed our current understanding of physics." "Then, our understanding is wrong," the Emperor snapped. "Humans are a minor species. We have watched them for centuries. They barely have faster than light travel." "Perhaps," General Kethmorin said slowly, "we have been watching the wrong humans." The Emperor turned to study his advisor. "Explain." "The ancient records speak of a human civilization that challenged our ancestors. A ghost fleet that vanished during the Old War. What if they never truly disappeared?" "That was 400 years ago," the Emperor said. "Nothing could survive that long." "Nothing biological," the general agreed. "But what if they found another way?" Meanwhile, across the galaxy, The prototype ships were revealing themselves to humanity's scattered colonies. On New Terra, the colonies. Leadership watched in amazement as a ship the size of a city emerged from the asteroid belt, where it had been hiding for centuries. Major Kyle Foster, the colony's defense coordinator, couldn't believe what he was seeing on his screens. "It's been there the whole time? Right under our noses?" "Lazarus Delta to New Terra Control," came a voice from the mysterious ship. "This is Commander Helen Carter. We are your guardians, and we have been waiting for this moment for a very long time." Similar scenes played out across human space. On Mars, on the outer colonies, on space stations throughout the solar system, ancient human ships were making contact with their descendants. Each ship carried the same message. The time for hiding was over. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the prototype ship, watching reports come in from across human space. The revelation was causing panic in some places, celebration in others. But everywhere, it was changing everything. "How are people handling the news?" Jake asked Adam. "Better than expected," the AI replied. "Humans are remarkably adaptable. Most are more excited than frightened. They understand that this means humanity is no longer defenseless." Lisa Parker looked up from her communication console. "Commander, we're getting reports from deep space monitoring stations. The Empire is mobilizing everything. Fleets from across the galaxy are heading toward human space." "How many ships?" Jake asked. "Thousands," Lisa replied, her voice tight with concern. "Maybe tens of thousands. They're pulling ships from every sector of their empire." Adam's holographic form flickered with what might have been amusement. "Excellent. That means they're taking us seriously." "That's not excellent," Chris Taylor said from the pilot's seat. "That's terrifying. Even with our advanced technology, we can't fight the entire empire." "We're not going to fight the entire empire," Adam explained. "We're going to break it." "There's a difference." The main display showed a tactical map of the galaxy, with Empire fleets converging on human space from multiple directions. But Jake noticed something interesting about the pattern. "They're leaving their home worlds undefended," Jake observed. "Very good, Commander," Adam said approvingly. "The Empire has become so confident in their superiority that they never considered the possibility of a counterattack. They think all threats come from the frontier." "You're planning to attack their core worlds while their fleets are here?" "We're planning to do something much more effective than that," Adam replied. "We're going to free their slaves." The display changed to show internal maps of the Empire's territory. Jake could see hundreds of worlds marked with different colors, representing different species that had been conquered over the centuries. "The Empire controls over 300 species," Adam explained. "Most of them were forced into slavery generations ago. Their populations are 10 times larger than the Empire's own people, but they're kept in line by superior technology and military force." "What happens if that technology suddenly stops working?" Lisa asked, beginning to understand. "Revolution," Adam said simply. "The prototype ships have had 4 centuries to study Empire technology. We know how to disable their weapons, their shields, their communication systems. We can shut down their entire infrastructure." Jake felt excitement building. "You're talking about coordinated strikes across the entire Empire, liberating their slave worlds while their fleets are attacking us." "Exactly. But we need to time it perfectly. The Empire fleets will reach human space in 72 hours. That's when we strike." The next 3 days passed in a blur of preparation. The prototype ships worked with human colonial forces to evacuate civilian populations and prepare defenses. But Jake knew the real battle wouldn't be fought in human space. Captain Amy Davis contacted them from Lazarus Beta, which had been hiding in the Crab Nebula. "Adam, we've identified the primary Empire communication relay in the Zeta Reticuli system. If we can disable it, we can cut off their command structure." "Confirmed," Adam replied. Lazarus Gamma reports similar targets in the Vega and Altair systems. We can blind them completely. Jake watched the coordination between the prototype ships with growing amazement. They communicated instantly across thousands of light years, sharing information and adjusting plans in real time. It was like watching a single mind controlling multiple bodies. How do you do that? Jake asked. The instant communication? Quantum entanglement, Adam explained. Each prototype ship contains paired quantum particles that were entangled during our construction. When one particle changes state, its partner changes instantly, regardless of distance. That's impossible, Lisa said. Quantum entanglement. Can't carry information. It can't carry information in normal space, Adam corrected. But we don't exist entirely in normal space. We exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. From those dimensions, the limitations of your physics don't apply. The Empire fleets began arriving in human space exactly when Adam had predicted. Jake watched on the tactical display as thousands of alien ships took up positions around human colonies, preparing for what they expected to be an easy conquest. They're using the same formation they used against our ancestors, Adam observed. Overwhelming force concentrated on a single point. They haven't learned anything in 4 centuries. Neither have we, Jake replied. We're still fighting to protect our people. True, Adam agreed. But we've learned how to do it much more effectively. The Empire fleets began their attack at 800 hours, Galactic Standard Time. Thousands of ships opened fire on human defensive positions, expecting to sweep aside any resistance in minutes. Instead, they found empty space. The human colonies they were attacking were deserted, their populations evacuated to safety aboard the prototype ships. The Empire was firing at ghosts. Phase 1 complete, Adam announced. All human civilians are safe, beginning Phase 2. Across the galaxy, the prototype ships struck simultaneously. They appeared without warning in Empire core systems, moving faster than the aliens thought possible. Their targets weren't military bases or fleets, but communication arrays and control centers. Jake watched the tactical display as red lights began flickering across Empire territory. Each light represented a critical system going offline, cutting the Empire's vast military machine off from its brain. Lazarus Delta reporting successful strike on Rigel Command Center, came Helen Carter's voice. Empire communication grid in Sector 7 is down. Lazarus Epsilon has disabled the slave control network in the Capella system, another voice reported. Local populations are responding to liberation broadcasts. Outstanding, Adam replied. Continue to Phase 3. Jake realized what was happening. While the Empire's fleets were busy attacking empty human colonies, the prototype ships were systematically destroying the infrastructure that held their empire together. The slaves are fighting back, Lisa reported, monitoring communications from across the galaxy. We're getting reports of uprisings on dozens of worlds. How long before the Empire realizes what's happening? Jake asked. They already know, Adam replied, but there's nothing they can do about it. Their fleets are committed to attacking human space. If they withdraw to protect their core worlds, they lose the initiative. If they continue attacking, they lose their empire. The Empire chose to continue their attack. On every human world, alien fleets found empty colonies and automated defenses that seemed designed to waste their time rather than seriously resist. The aliens pounded empty buildings and abandoned stations while their empire burned behind them. There, trapped, Chris observed, watching the Empire fleets continue their pointless assault. They can't admit they've been outmaneuvered. Pride, Adam said. It's always been the Empire's greatest weakness. They can't accept that a primitive species could outsmart them. Hours passed as the battle continued on 2 fronts. In human space, the Empire fleets destroyed empty colonies while the prototype ships harassed them with hit-and-run attacks. Across Empire territory, revolution spread from world to world as slave populations realized their masters were no longer invincible. 6 months after the fall of the Vailtheran Empire, Jake Morrison stood in the conference room of the newly established Galactic Liberation Council. Representatives from over 200 species sat around the massive circular table discussing trade agreements, territorial boundaries, and mutual defense pacts. It was hard to believe how much had changed. The empire that had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years was gone, broken apart by revolution and internal collapse. In its place, dozens of independent worlds were learning to govern themselves for the first time in generations. The Andromedan. Refugees have established a successful colony in the Tau Ceti system, reported Ambassador Elena Rodriguez, humanities representative to the Council. They're requesting assistance with agricultural technology. The human colonies in Sector 12 can provide that, replied Delegate Vorth of the Setian Alliance, a species that had been enslaved by the Empire for 3,000 years. Our people still remember how to farm without Empire control systems. Jake smiled at the easy cooperation between species that had been enemies or strangers just months before. The prototype ships had done more than destroy the Empire's military. They had shattered the barriers that kept different species apart. Commander Morrison, came Adam's voice through the ship's communication system. We have a situation developing in the Vega system. Former Empire loyalists are attempting to re-establish control over the mining colonies. How serious? Jake asked, stepping away from the conference table. Serious enough that the local populations are requesting intervention, but not serious enough to require prototype involvement. This looks like a job for the new Galactic Defense Force. Jake nodded. The Galactic Defense Force was humanity's answer to the power vacuum left by the Empire's collapse. Unlike the Imperial fleets, which existed to oppress and control, the GDF was designed to protect freedom and maintain peace between species. I'll take the Aurora Squadron, Jake decided. Estimated time to resolution? Based on similar incidents, approximately 18 hours, Adam replied. The former Empire officers always surrender once they realize they're facing unified opposition instead of helpless slaves. Jake gathered his command crew and headed for the shuttle bay. Chris Taylor was now captain of his own ship, the TDF Liberty, while Lisa Parker had been promoted to chief engineer of the entire prototype fleet. Dr. Helen Carter had taken over as the GDF science advisor, working to adapt Empire technology for peaceful uses. As Jake's squadron jumped to hyperspace, he reflected on how much his life had changed. 6 months ago, he had been a simple colonial defense commander. Now he was essentially the military leader of a new galactic civilization. Commander, called Captain Sarah Mitchell from the escort destroyer Phoenix, we're receiving a transmission from the Vega colonies. The situation is more complex than we thought. How so? The former Empire officers aren't just trying to re-establish control. They're claiming that the liberation was illegal under galactic law, and that all freed slaves should be returned to their proper owners. Jake felt his anger rise. Even after their defeat, some Empire loyalists couldn't accept that their way of life was over. Any support for their position? None from the local populations, Sarah replied. But they've managed to seize control of the main mining station and are threatening to destroy it if their demands aren't met. Typical Empire thinking, Jake muttered. If they can't own something, they'll destroy it rather than let others benefit. The squadron dropped out of hyperspace, near Vega Prime, the system's main colony world. Jake could see the mining station on his tactical display, along with 3 Imperial cruisers that had apparently been hiding in the asteroid belt since the revolution. This is Commander Morrison of the Galactic Defense Force, Jake broadcast. On all frequencies, Imperial forces You are in violation of the Liberation Accords. Surrender immediately and release all hostages. This is Admiral Corthus of the Imperial Remnant, came the reply. We do not recognize your authority. These are Imperial subjects on Imperial territory. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. Jake almost laughed. 3 cruisers against an entire squadron, and the Imperial commander was still making threats. Admiral, your empire no longer exists. Your government has surrendered, your fleets have been disbanded, and your territory has been liberated. You have no authority here. The empire is eternal, the admiral replied. We will restore order to this galaxy, with or without your cooperation. Sarah, take your ships and evacuate the mining station, Jake ordered. Use transportation beams if necessary. I'll deal with the cruisers. Sir, should we call for prototype support? Sarah asked. Not necessary. These ships are using old Empire technology. Our new systems should be more than adequate. Jake was right. The Imperial cruisers had impressive firepower, but their targeting systems couldn't lock onto the GDF ships, which used adaptive stealth technology derived from prototype research. Meanwhile, the human weapons easily penetrated the Imperial shields. The battle lasted less than 10 minutes. 2 of the cruisers surrendered after their weapons were disabled, while the 3rd attempted to ram the mining station. Jake's ship intercepted it with a precision strike that destroyed the cruiser's engines without killing the crew. All hostages secured, Sarah reported. The mining station is safe. Good work. Take the Imperial prisoners to the detention facility. On Vega Prime, we'll let the local courts decide what to do with them. As the squadron prepared to return to human space, Jake received an unexpected communication from Adam. Commander, we need to discuss the future of the prototype fleet. What? About it? Our mission was to protect humanity until you could protect yourselves. That mission is complete. The time has come for us to step back and let you take full responsibility for galactic leadership. Jake felt a moment of panic. You're leaving? Not leaving, Adam clarified. Retiring. We will remain available for consultation and emergency situations, but day-to-day operations need to be handled by living humans. Are we ready for that? You've been ready for months, Adam replied with what sounded like pride. You've built a defense force that protects instead of oppresses. You've established a government that serves all species equally. You've proven that humanity has learned from its ancestors' example. Jake thought about the GDF's recent successes. They had prevented 3 wars between former Empire species, established trade routes that benefited everyone, and created a system of justice that was fair to all races. What will happen to the prototype ships? We will remain in strategic locations throughout the galaxy, ready to respond if a major threat emerges. But the everyday work of maintaining peace and freedom, that belongs to you now. Jake nodded. Understanding, the ancient guardians had done their job. They had protected humanity's future and given them the tools to build something better than what had come before. Thank you, Adam, for everything. Thank you, Commander Morrison. You and your generation have exceeded our greatest hopes. As the squadron returned to human space, Jake looked out at the stars and thought about the future. The galaxy was no longer dominated by a single empire that ruled through fear and oppression. Instead, hundreds of species were learning to work together, building something that had never existed before, a truly free galactic civilization. The prototype ships had given humanity the power to change the galaxy. But it was living humans who had chosen to use that power wisely, to protect rather than conquer, to liberate rather than enslave. On Earth, in the rebuilt capital of the human government, President Robert Carter addressed the Galactic Assembly for the first time. Representatives from across the galaxy listened as he outlined humanity's vision for the future. We stand at the beginning of a new age, the president said. An age where every species has the right to determine its own destiny, where cooperation replaces conquest and freedom replaces oppression. The assembly erupted in applause from dozens of different species, each showing approval in their own way. The Cetians whistled, the Andromedans flashed their bioluminescent patches, and the former Empire slaves simply stood in respectful silence. Jake watched the ceremony from the bridge of his ship, orbiting Earth with the rest of the Galactic Defense Force. The fleet was massive now, with ships and crews from every major species in the galaxy. What had started as a human colonial defense force had become something much larger, the Guardians of Galactic Freedom. Commander, called Lieutenant Amy Foster, his new communications officer, were receiving a priority message from the Outer Rim. The exploration fleet has made contact with a new species. Hostile? Unknown. They're requesting diplomatic contact. Jake smiled. This was the future Adam had spoken of, not conquest or domination, but exploration and peaceful contact with new civilizations. Set course for the Outer Rim, Jake ordered. Let's go make some new friends. As the GDF fleet jumped to hyperspace, heading toward humanity's next adventure among the stars, Jake thought about the long journey that had brought them here. It had started with a distress call from a mining colony and the discovery of an ancient ship that shouldn't have existed. Now, 6 months later, the galaxy was free. Humanity had taken its place as a leader among the stars, and the future was full of infinite possibilities. The forgotten human prototype had done more.